All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Justice Talk, where it's just us talking. I'm Deputy Jason Blanchard, joined by my partners in crime prevention, Deputy Brian McKnight and Sergeant Jeff Miller. How you guys doing?
Good.
Not bad at all.
No, but that's all we're going to get. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
We'll start with you, Brian.
Oh, we'll start with the new old guy.
It'll take you the longest.
That's right. My name is Brian McKnight. I'm a deputy here at Douglas County Sheriff's Office with 31 years of experience in law enforcement and spending a lot of time in crime prevention and public education. And that's why I really enjoy this concept of what we're going to do today, talking about the fraud, scams, and identity theft.
Don't mind me. I'm just fixing this real quick.
Weird.
So, Brian, your specialty is what, puppet shows?
I could do those too.
So we always like to make a joke because here in Community Resources, we're kind of what people consider kind of the Swiss Army knife.
We are the Swiss Army knife for the Sheriff's Office.
So it depends on the day. We do all kinds of stuff. Some days we're doing real serious work. We're going out in the community and doing crime prevention talks. We're doing education, sometimes patrol functions. You never know really on what day it is, but other times you get Brian out there doing some puppet shows. You get me out there doing karaoke. It really just depends on the day.
And Sunday we were flipping pancakes.
And you say we were flipping pancakes, but it was really your wife. She did an incredible job.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me do it.
We're giving credit to Cindy out there. Cindy, you're awesome. Thanks for helping us out. And just know that we still know Brian's in trouble, and he'll make it up to you eventually.
Sooner or later, I'm going to make that up.
Are you done? All right, Jason, why don't we...
Me. So I started at Douglas County Sheriff's Office in 2010. I started as a dispatcher. Actually did that for a few years. Got out of there as quickly as possible because it was pretty much the hardest job I could ever possibly imagine. Put myself through an academy, started working in the jail, went through a patrol FTO, and then started working here in Community Resources.
And I'm Sergeant Jeff Miller. I've been here, law enforcement, 26 years. Been here with Douglas County for 23. Been in patrol, detentions, and then Community Resources for the last 3 years.
These guys make me feel young. I'm feeling good now.
Yeah, but I'm the old new guy.
The old new guy.
Yeah, we make fun of Brian all the time because he's the new guy, but he's got more law enforcement experience than all of us. So
very good. So yep, that's us in a nutshell. Real quick nutshell. But go ahead.
Before, why don't we explain what does the Community Resource Unit do?
Well, Brian, you want to start tackling that question? Because
our unit does all the things the officers on the street don't have time to do, or the knowledge or education to do,
or don't want to do,
sometimes. We will cover things like security surveys of major corporations, churches, and homes. Work with emergency operation plans, help businesses, schools, and even homes deal with issues they might have when it comes to crime prevention and safety. Then there's the public education part, where we do a lot of education in the community, such as scams and frauds, all the way down to puppet shows for preschool kids. You see a lot of officers, they like to do a lot of things, but will get very uncomfortable in front of a couple of little kids.
Right.
So being able to have that ability to jump in front of kids and give them a good educational talk and have fun with them is a big piece. We also do a lot of community events. You'd see us at the parades. We just did a pancake breakfast at the farmer's market there in Highlands Ranch. So a little bit of everything, and not counting out the podcasts and the videos and all the other PIO production type stuff that we do here with our team in crime prevention.
So you're saying we're a little bit busy?
Little bit, but there's always room to do more.
Hey, so just a quick story is Brian worked for another agency for a long time, and how did we sell this agency to you?
You're going to love it. We're not as busy as you guys were.
See, the trick was on us, as we didn't realize that when Brian came, he brought the busy with him.
Yeah, when I went to Brian's retirement party where his former agency, and they go, you're going to be busier than ever now that he's there. Like, no, he's the extra help. It's going to take a load off the other two of us. Like, oh no, you don't understand. Well, they were right. He brought a lot of good stuff with him.
I am a magnet. Yes.
What kind of magnet is it? No, I'm just.
Hey, you were at the school and the little kid was asking for me, right?
It's true. It's true. Just the other day, I was sitting in Castle Rock, a school in Castle Rock, which isn't our jurisdiction, wasn't your old jurisdiction. And a little kid comes up to me who does a lot of school presentations. I like to think I'm pretty good at them. And they come up to me and say, "Do you know Officer McKnight?" I was like, "No."
A legend with a puppet.
So either way, you've got you've got an appointment coming up for a Castle Rock school for a puppet show.
I'm all over that.
Yeah,
Happy to do it.
This morning, Brian was rolling around with kids at a Coffee with a Cop at East Ridge Rec Center in the morning, and then he left there to go to a senior center. So he ran the gamut this morning. So
Yeah, all different ages.
all different ages. So
Very good. Some of the other things that we've started going up is crime-free multi-housing, or apartment complexes, basically, so we can go in and help those environments with a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different backgrounds keep their place safe and happy and serene to live in. Yeah. So a lot of things going on. We are busy, and that's actually one of the things I love about community resources so much is that, you know, one day we have to be very serious. We have to really keep that straight face. But for the most part, we're the guys that get to have some fun.
Do a lot of different things in 1 week.
yeah, we do. We're kind of rare in the law enforcement field. Is we get to do a lot of things that are fun. Just interact with the public in a positive way, which a lot of deputies or officers don't get to do.
And in today's society, where sometimes law enforcement isn't always viewed as being a great group of people, like generally speaking in Douglas County, our job's pretty easy because the population kind of likes us in the first place, and then we get to go out and interact with those kinds of people versus necessarily cop haters in quotations.
Well, in the senior group I was with today, there were around 65 people. We had a great hour-and-a-half discussion on the subject today of scams and frauds and identity theft. And when we were done, they were so happy about us being there and being able to share the information and listen to their stories and feeling like they had a voice and a way to get that information out. So it was definitely enjoyable to be with them.
It's almost like you segued that on purpose. Like today's real topic is going to be frauds and scams.
Well, yes, I did.
Wow, that's smooth. That's smooth.
Why, thank you.
Wait, just before we get started, I just need to hear your best radio voice. Let's do this.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for scams, frauds, and identity theft.
And that's our initial introduction. Before we dig in to frauds and scams, let's go ahead and just take a quick break for today's Walk and Talk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Walk and Talk, where we go into the community and have random people ask us random questions. Today, we are joined by
Deputy Brito.
Deputy Brito, and we've got a couple of awesome little ladies here to help us ask some questions. What's your name?
Josie.
Josie, do you have a question for us?
Is it fun being a police officer?
Josie asks us if it's fun being a police officer. What do you think, Deputy Brito?
So it is the most fun being a police officer. Even though not everybody likes you, you get to still see the best in people and bring smiles out on everybody's faces, especially when I get to give you guys stickers. So that's the best part. See, I'm glad you guys like it, and knowing that that's an awesome Taylor Swift shirt.
Very nice. Mom, do you have any questions for Deputy Brito?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you for keeping all of us safe, and we pray for you guys every night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And that's today's episode of Walk and Talk. Have a great one, everyone.
Question?
And that's today's Walk and Talk. It's a really fun little experience to be able to get out in the community and have them ask some questions of us. And they are random, and we never know where they're going to come from or what's going to be asked. Some silly, some serious, but for the most part, a good time.
Yeah, so you might see one of the three of us in the community quite often, and that's something we're going to be doing in the future. It's called Walk and Talk, where we actually go up and ask you questions, or you can ask us questions. And basically, it's a no holds barred type question, and we'll we'll answer the best way we can. If we don't know the answer, we'll find out for you.
That's right. And I think the last one was at the pancake breakfast on Sunday at the farmer's market, right?
Right. And yeah, there's some fun ones, and hopefully we get to share some of them because we've got a lot already in the stockpile ready to be aired. So.
Yeah. So in the future, we hope to do some trivia stuff and ask people questions. So look for that coming soon. So.
Cool. All right. So let's dig right in here. One of the things we want to make very clear is there's really 3 big crimes that happen in Douglas County. Theft being the number one. It's actually theft of property. Generally speaking, because we're going to squeeze it in here anyway, it's crimes of opportunity where people are leaving their car doors unlocked, stuff inside their car, or leaving their garage doors open. If you empty out the car, lock the car door, close your garage at night and during the day, pretty much crime's gone in Douglas County. Not gone, but
yeah, 75% of the stuff that is stolen out of cars is stolen from cars that aren't locked.
Right. So, but again, that's going to be a big story for another episode here, but we're going to go ahead and just attack today the second biggest, which is frauds and scams and identity theft here in Douglas County.
We had a great group today of 65 seniors in a location. And when I started that talk this morning, I asked who in this audience has been a victim or contacted by anybody in the community via phone or computer for a scam or fraud. Every single individual at that auditorium rose their hand. This is something we're seeing throughout the community. If you have a phone, you have a computer, someone's trying to take your money.
And while, just to make it clear, while the primary population that's being targeted in these frauds and scams are the senior population, nobody's immune. They're trying to get a hold of anybody to try to get that money off of you or whatever they're trying to get from you, information, money, whatever.
Right. We're seeing a lot of frauds and scams. They're out to get financial gain, and they're going to use threats and intimidation to get you to do something immediately. And we've got some great examples of some of the ones we're really seeing happen right now. There's tweaks to them, but these are very common scams and frauds going on right now.
Well, more than threats and intimidation, too, they'll also they're basically tugging on emotions.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's, you just won $1 million, or you won a trip to Hawaii, or something like that, too. It's just emotions. They want to either get you excited, they want to get you angry, they want to get you scared. Right. One of those to try to get that money or that.
A lot of times they know a little bit of information about you. You know, they know that you're a grandparent and that you have a grandkid, and they know the grandkid's name, and they say, hey, little Johnny's in jail and he wants you to come bond him out.
Right. Or sometimes they will actually fish for the information.
Right.
They'll call up and say, Grandma, is this you? Grandma.
Yes, it is. Who is this?
Grandma, it's me.
This is Johnny.
Yeah, it's Johnny, Grandma.
Johnny, what's going on?
Grandma, I'm in trouble. And you see what happened there is they were fishing for the name. As soon as they get that name, Johnny, they make that emotional contact. At this point, is what they do is they start giving this story. Grandma, I can't let you tell Mom and Dad, but I'm supposed to be in school, and we went on a trip to Mexico. I got in trouble, and now I'm arrested and in jail. I need some money to bond out. Can you send me $500?
Yes. Where do I send it?
Okay, good, Grandma. Don't tell Mom and Dad because I'm really embarrassed and they think I'm still at school. So this is what I need you to do. I need you to go get some prepaid credit cards. Then get the money on the cards, and then you're going to give me the information on the card with the credit card number and all the information on the back, and they'll be able to get that money immediately. Can you do that?
I'm done with the voice. But and they'll also, another common way they ask for that money is going to be wire transfer, so like Western Union or direct transfer or something like that into an account. So it's scary. What most people say is, I would never fall for that, and I hear that from a lot of people I talk to. I would never fall for that. But what people don't realize is that they're really, really good. They do
this every day, all day, and they are pros.
That's what they do for a living.
Right.
That's how they get, that's how they earn their living.
And eventually, they might not be great at the start, but they get so good. I've almost fallen for several scams over the years where you're like, oh, man, this actually seems legit. And you start going down that rabbit hole, and then you start luckily we train and talk about it enough that eventually a red flag raises enough to say, oh, okay, never mind.
Right. And where a lot of people get it is that lottery is sweepstakes scam,
Right.
where you feel like, oh, this looks really legit. Maybe I did win something. And it comes down to that you won $5 million. All you got to do is put 500 down to confirm it's you, or we'll do some research and then we'll get the money. And it's that concept of, when do you ever have to give money to get money?
You don't.
Right?
And not to mention the fact that you're probably not going to win the lottery if you're not playing the lottery.
Exactly. That's a big one.
Including, like, why would some random guy in Africa contact you because you just inherited $15 million in gold or something like that? Why would they suddenly contact you?
I had a gentleman today in our audience. He had a very good document that looked legal. Had all the stuff, even with a stamp on it, from the government in Africa saying that they have a large sum of money, and they found that he had access to it through a long-lost relative. All he had to do is share some information and put some money down to make sure he got that information and money. Again, he looked at it and said, I'm not too sure about this. And he was right. It was another scam, but it looked really good.
Well, and they just playing on the emotions of people. Hey, well, what if this thing is real?
Right.
Look
What
how
if
much
I
money
could have
could get.
$15 million tomorrow? Holy cow.
Right.
And a lot of times they're not asking for a huge sum of money. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're asking for $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. But there's other times where they're just asking for $50 because while they're not looking, they might not be looking for the big score. They might be trying to do little bricks up to build their wealth. And from
Well, if I get 100,000 people to send me $50,
hey, that's a good payday.
make a pretty good payday, right?
I'm in the wrong business.
I'm telling you. Now, the other one that we talk about, and we hear here at the sheriff's office, is the law enforcement scam.
Yeah.
That's a big one that they're actually researching law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, they'll go on a law enforcement website, and it's easy to get the names of administrators or people that do stuff in the public.
I think all of our names have been used.
all of our names have been used at one time or another to, hey, John Smith, you have a warrant. You need to get $50 worth of green cards or green dot cards, and that's how you can pay off your warrant.
Just to be very clear, well, we will call you. We'll call you if you have a warrant. Usually it's one of our CSVs, and they'll tell you have a warrant. They will never ask for any kind of payment over the phone. They're going to tell you to come into the Justice Center or
They won't ask for any payment. They'll just advise you that the warrant and how to get it taken care of. And by getting it taken care of, that means coming to the Justice Center in Castle Rock.
Right, and I've seen a lot of people falling for this. There was this one day I was working patrol, and a lady up at the Highlands Ranch substation comes in frantically with this armful of green dot cards, or it was not green dot. It wasn't true green dot. It was just prepaid credit cards. And she's like crying. And I was like, well, what's going on? Are you okay? She's like, just don't arrest me. Just don't arrest me. And as soon as I saw the cards, I was like,
Well, and these guys that do it, they know how to sound intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
They threaten that they're going to come arrest you right now. They will fish for information from you also, saying things like, I need to confirm you are who I think you are. Can you tell me your address?
You want to do this? You want to do another role reversal?
All right.
All right. I'll be the officer or the scammer. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, this is Deputy Blanchard with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. To whom am I speaking?
This is Brian, sir.
Brian, and Brian, I just need to confirm your identity for the sake of this call. What's your last name?
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson, okay. Do you have this big beard? No, we know a Brian Johnson with a big beard.
Right.
So, Brian, and then thank you so much for confirming your name. Now, at this point, I just need to know your date of birth.
You need my date of birth?
Yeah, it's just to confirm your identity. I've got some information I need to share with you from the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, 7/28/64.
Okay, perfect. That seems about right to me. Okay, Brian, I've got an active warrant for your arrest, and we need
Really?
Yeah, it's for an unpaid parking ticket is what it reads here. Case number 2019-002136.
Man, I don't remember that.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have any control over the parking tickets or anything. I just know that you've got a warrant that's coming out for your arrest, and unless you actually are willing to go and get it taken care of right now, we can work that out over the phone if you like.
You mean I can do it right now and I won't get arrested?
as long as you stay on the phone with me and I can actually confirm through the process of exactly what you're doing. So,
All right. So what do I need to do?
So right now I need you to go to your local 7-Eleven. That's one of our certified agents. Are you near a 7-Eleven?
I'm sure I can find one. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, again, this needs to be done within the next 30 minutes. I need you to go straight out to your car, keep me on the phone. Do not mute me. If you hang up, the warrant is going to be issued and you will be arrested.
Well, my boss isn't going to be very happy if I got to leave work.
Do you want to go to jail right now?
No, I don't want them to
I
know
don't
about
want you to
this.
go to jail. I'm trying to get this warrant issue
All right.
resolved.
All right. I'll just tell them I'm going to lunch early.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, let's go. Again, you got to keep me on the phone. Do not hang up. Do not mute me. As long as you stay on the phone with me, I'll make sure that you don't get arrested today.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to 7-Eleven, and what do I do there?
Okay, so once you get there, I want you to go ahead and purchase $500. It's a $500 warrant.
Holy smokes.
In prepaid credit cards, and then you're going to bring it to an address and get it dropped off, okay?
Man, this, yeah, all right. Who am I going to meet there?
I will meet you there, and we'll make sure that you don't get arrested. How do they usually do it? I'm actually a little lost. Do they ask them to mail it?
A lot of times they'll mail it, or sometimes it's back to just giving them the information over the phone.
The information, that is what it
Right
is.
off
It's
the
the
credit
information
card.
off their credit card.
Yeah, yeah.
So when they give the information, they'll actually have them read the information.
They won't ask to meet you in person.
That's right.
so.
That's right.
Yeah, they
Okay.
try not to do that. But you can see how they really get to hook you. They'll intimidate you and get
Because
you focused.
anybody, when they get a phone call from a law enforcement agent or an officer, people want to cooperate, And when they say you're in trouble, you're like, oh boy, what am I going to do?
Well,
Right.
I want to do whatever I need to do to get out of this.
And
Exactly.
most people are very, very great law-abiding citizens, and they're going to listen to when an officer, in quotations, tells them to do something or tells them that they need something from them. So I'm playing on my trust. I could have probably, in that situation, pretty easily pulled a Social Security number for identity verification too. Now you got full-on ID theft along with whatever money you end up paying.
Right. And that phishing, that's what they call phishing, is they're trying to get additional information. So not only can they get money from you right now on that credit card, but now later they're going to come back and use that information for identity theft.
So yeah, anytime they're asking questions, you're like, wait a minute, they should already know that information.
Right.
Don't give it.
Well, and it's easy to sneak it. That's why when we tell people, like generally when it comes to phone scams, I've got some do's and don'ts here, if you're good with that.
Sure.
One of the first is going to be to register your number with the National Do Not Call Registry. Over this, I'll just give a phone number. It's 888-382-1222. Again, 888-382-1222. Anytime there's going to be somebody, there's another scam that's real popular out there. If somebody says you won something, you always be wary. Sometimes it is going to be legitimate. There's going to be a vacation package or a prize package or something like that. I personally have gone on a trip to Maui for, basically free because I went to a 2-hour presentation.
That sounds like a scam to me.
It sounded like it initially, but what happened is they called me and told me that I won this, this trip. I hung up with them, called the hotel that was offering it directly, and confirmed that was legitimate, and it was. So I got to actually go to Maui and have my 6-day stay for free for a 2-hour presentation, of course, while they're trying.
They tried to sell him a timeshare, and he almost bought it. So yeah,
it was Maui.
Almost
What are you
free.
going to do?
Almost free. Right.
It was Maui.
And
Of course, I
when you
almost
do
bought
those timeshares, man, those salesmen,
They are
they
good.
know how to get you.
They are good.
You have to be careful on
They
that.
are good. Another one, if there's ever a suspicious call, hang up. I have a general rule personally of just never accepting any cold solicitations whatsoever. And if it is something that seems too good to be true, it almost inevitably will be. And if it is something that you think that could be happening, make sure you hang up and then verify for yourself.
But what about the phone calls of, hey, your car's extended warranty is getting ready to expire?
That's actually people just soliciting business. It's not a scam.
Because everybody calls them scams, but a lot of them really aren't. I mean, they're just soliciting business.
Right, because they're trying to get you to buy additional warranties on your car. That's usually legitimate.
And what I like to do is say, all right, if you got good information and you're going to sell me a good product, let me research it. Let me make my own calls, find out that it's legit, and then I'll get back to you. It's those salesmen that are there and saying it's today's deal only. I got this great deal. I got these great windows. I can put them in your house tomorrow, but you got to give me the money today, and the price goes up tomorrow. Those are some red flags right there.
Absolutely. And that's one of the first don'ts is going to be like, don't ever fall under the pressure of taking immediate action. There will be never any situation, generally speaking, that you need to take immediate action truly. They're just trying to get you to fall for whatever's happening right now, because if you hang up, you'll lose the deal. Another thing that real important on phone calls, at least, is going to be the ID scammers or the spoofing. Those people that call, one of the other issues we run into is when they're pretending to be us for the warrants, is they'll get a phone call from what looks like the sheriff's office.
It looks like it's a sheriff's office phone number.
It's a sheriff's office phone number. Actually reads Douglas County Sheriff's Office in the from line. It is an actual phone number of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, but it's nobody here. Right. They're able to spoof that number. So that's something you always got to be wary of. Don't trust the caller ID.
Anytime you get a call from the sheriff's office and you're suspicious, call it back.
Absolutely.
You know, when you call it back, it's actually our dispatcher or somebody in the sheriff's office that will answer that phone number. So,
absolutely. One of the other don'ts is if a caller starts asking questions like, "Can you hear me?" Don't ever say yes, because if you do, they're going to actually record that yes and use that in the future to confirm that you answered yes to something they asked.
Right.
Don't provide any credit card, bank account, or other personal information to a caller, especially if you don't know who they are. Any cold solicitation, absolutely not. Again, if you're calling your bank, so you know that you're calling your bank, you might be able to use some information. You can feel a little more comfortable about that. But if you're getting called by your bank or your computer company or whatever it might be, they might be looking for information, but don't ever give it to them.
That's right.
And along with the phone calls, it's emails that are similar to the phone calls. It's the same kind of thing. So,
and those emails look pretty legit.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
And the easiest way, which isn't that easy sometimes, is looking at that basic address on top, and it might be wellsfargo.com, and it's wellsfargo's.com instead of com.
Yeah.
Everything else looks great.
And same logo and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything looks legitimate. So,
and with today's computers, you can make anything look legit.
Absolutely. And generally speaking, if you want to be looking for on the HTTP, you want to see that it's an HTTPS. So that means it's secure server. Generally speaking, that's not always true. Sometimes we've run into it where we don't have the S. But
so changing gears a little bit, and this is something that we deal with springtime, early summertime, is we get a lot of hailstorms. In Colorado. And anytime we get a good hailstorm, what's going to happen that same day or the next day at the latest?
Repair scams.
We're going to get the roofer scams.
Yep.
There are a lot of roofer scams out there.
And they will come from all over the United States trying to roof your damaged roof.
I've actually heard stories where people will go up to, quote, inspect your roof. They'll hear some banging around and some walking around and that stuff. What they're actually doing is taking a ball peen hammer and actually causing
more damage.
So that
proof.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So the best thing with that is just look into the company you're using.
Again, I follow a zero cold solicitation. If you come to my door, it's not happening.
Right.
I will contact a roofer. For me, I had somebody come inspect my roof during this last big hailstorm, and I ended up contacting my insurance company and say, "Do you have a recommended insurance or a recommended roofing company?"
Or friends or neighbors, just find out who they've used and go that way.
Absolutely. Just again, you got to be on your toes in today's society. In every way, you need to be on your toes, expecting the worst out of people, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, they'll say, "Hey, my company's coming through, and you guys have hail damage, and we're just gonna come through, and we're gonna fix a bunch of roofs, and then we'll move on to the next thing." Well, they ask for the money up front.
Well, and they do this. They'll say, "Look, I got this job over here, and we have extra supplies, enough to do your roof for half the price." What they end up doing is they'll take that product, put it on your property, and start showing that they're providing some type of service, and then take your money and never come back to finish the job. So you feel like, yeah, it's legit. They already got roofing product here in my driveway. Well, guess what? That's all you're going to get.
One of the things that's important to recognize is in all of this is that there are a million different spins on all of these scams. We're talking roofing right now, but tomorrow it might be insect whatever those
Spraying
guys
for
are
the
called,
spiders.
spraying for the spiders coming
right.
around. They can say that you pay them money to go spray, and they're walking around spraying water for all you know. So,
Yep.
yeah,
And they'll come back 3 times a year.
absolutely spraying water.
Right.
All right, so what do we want to talk about next? Let's go ahead and go into protecting yourself from identity theft. I think that's a big topic in today's society.
And sometimes these kind of go together. The scams and frauds, depending on how much information you share, can turn into identity theft. And we see that here in Colorado ranks 13 per capita for victims of identity theft. We are a target here in Colorado for this crime, and we are seeing way too much of it in our area.
It's scary. We've actually heard how easy it is to steal someone's identity, and then we hear stories about a 10-year-old kid who bought a $200,000 yacht, and now they're an adult trying to figure out how to clear their name, and it takes a lot of work.
And a lot of people that they go and check their credit report once a year, but they never check the credit on their kids.
Right.
You need to try. When you check your credit, you need to check the credit the credit report on your kids also.
Absolutely, because it's our job as parents to protect your kids, and if they're going to end up buying yachts when they're 10, and I didn't get to enjoy it, then I'm going to be angry.
Because when your kid's 20 years old or 21 years old or maybe even just trying to get student loans for college, and they say, no, you've got a bad credit rating. Well, he looked into his credit report and he bought a yacht when he was 10.
Right. I've heard it go the total opposite way, where a dead family member who was recently deceased or in the last couple of years, that information was stolen, and that relative who's passed away now has all this extra credit out there in their name and information.
Yeah.
And they were able to get that information just by seeing information online and in newspapers and knowing that person had passed.
Right, and it's scary, again, how good these people are at getting this information. I'm sure my information is out there in 50 different places, and we're kind of all inevitably going to end up on some level
just a
of
matter
identity
of time.
theft. Exactly.
It's just a matter of time before you get victimized with it. And when you do, it's days and days of phone calls and emails and a lot of extra money to try to fix that.
Right. So what are some steps we can do to try to protect ourselves as best as possible, at least?
Well, one, be careful with who you share your information with. And unfortunately, that can be family members.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we have seen go to those calls for service, and the victim is actually a victim of someone in their family. Mm-hmm. They have been able to get their information. I even had one lady share information with her son, who she thought would take care of her, gave him access to her accounts. He drained her accounts and left her with nothing. Right. So unfortunately, sometimes you got to be careful of the people around you that have access to your house and access to that information.
Another way is going to be to just make sure you go paperless with all of your bills. Try to make it so that there's not some place that the theft or the ID theft or a thief would come in and actually take paper mail with all that information in it. Specifically saying that you want to set those different accounts and make sure they all have individual passwords that are strong passwords. Don't give the same password to every single account you have, because if one gets broken, then everything gets broken.
Because they are still going after your mail.
Mm-hmm.
They'll search your mailboxes if they have access, and they're going to check your trash. So we always talk about shredding all important information, old bills, even those credit cards that come in saying, hey.
The credit card offers.
Yeah.
Pre-approved.
They get
Pre-approved.
Yeah.
Man, if you don't get those and someone else does.
I remember how excited I got for those in college, like when they'd come and it'd be like, yes! And then you end up using them and regretting it for the next 15 years of your life.
Right. So, yeah, and it's funny when my kids started getting them, I'm like, kids, throw those things away. They don't need it. They don't need it.
Right.
Usually that's actually something that's probably worth talking about. Is it's not necessary. Like my father-in-law, for example, he has this whole book full of, it looks like business card holders, but it's all just full of credit cards, all active too. And how are you supposed to be able to track that many accurately? But probably try to limit your number of credit accounts down to as little as possible or as few as possible.
Well, and I could tell you this, any credit card or bank account, they all have this great thing out there now where if you use your credit card, you can get a text that goes to your phone. Now, it's great, but the problem is my anniversary is coming up, and I can't buy my wife roses without her knowing before I get home that I've already bought something.
Brian, they still accept cash.
Yeah, but I don't have any.
Who does anymore?
Right? Who has cash? But it's a great way to keep track of anything going. And being married to me for 31 years, she knows she's got to keep an eye on that stuff.
She's a saint.
She is. And she does. She knows every time any one of our credit cards are used or our bank account is accessed. And it's a great way to get quick notification if something bad is happening.
And that's good habit to get into.
It really is. It's just hard to surprise her.
Inconvenient for gifting, yes, but super viable.
It's a lot
tool.
easier to take care of something right when it happens, within a day or so, rather than, finding out 6 months from now and you're like, oh, and then it's just hard to take care of then.
Yeah. So any credit card you have, any bank, research what they have to help you to recognize that you're becoming a victim of identity theft quick and accurate so you can take care of it.
Well, and then one of the things on emails or anything like that, don't click on any random links, including websites. If you're searching around on websites, don't go clicking on random links because they're designed to put malware onto your computer and actually start stealing information or accessing your cameras, or they can do a whole lot of stuff by you just clicking on a link.
Right.
So if it's not something you're specifically going and looking for, then don't click. Don't just say, "Ooh, that's interesting," and click on it.
Well, just think of the thing that's I've seen in the news quite a bit lately is with all the Amazon devices and Alexa, and how often do you on your in your Facebook feed you get advertisement for something that you talked about.
Right.
That's and that's not somebody that has really ill intent.
Right. Well, and all our data is collected.
Yeah.
And it's like stored in England now or something. I think I heard this last week. And there's actually some business company out there that has every bit of data we go through on our cell phones and computers. And that's just a scary thought.
Well, and that brings up that concept of social media and how the information you share on social media can put out enough information to make you a victim of identity theft or scams and frauds. And it's amazing what people are sharing out there on their social media.
Well, you can almost find out anything you want to find out about anybody these days by just going over their social media account. You get their phone number, their name, where they live. You can find a whole lot of stuff by just kind of scrolling through their pictures and their feeds.
And you talk to some people, they'll talk about Facebook stalking, how you can find out about people just by getting on Facebook and searching.
Right.
So be careful about what you share there.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's all good and well to share information or share stories with your family, but it can also be used against you.
That's right. If I'm on vacation, I'm in the Bahamas.
That's a big thing and my wife really wants to. When we go on vacation somewhere, she really wants to post pictures of what we're doing. But what does that do? That advertises that we're out of town.
It opens up that your house is empty.
Right.
And all your information is there. All I got to do is break in, get it, and the identity theft starts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like all great points to be considering. It's a hard world to navigate. It's very difficult to navigate how to protect yourself. Another thing you want to make sure to do is actually set up credit alerts with the different monitoring companies like Equifax and TransUnion, Experian.
Yeah. So it's only a matter of time before people get victimized, but you just have to take the steps ahead of time to try and minimize that.
And one of the things you can do when you look, there are 3 different credit bureau that report your information, and each year you can get 1 free credit check on each one of those. So if you set it up right where you use Equifax, say, in the first 3 months of the year, then you go to Experian and use them halfway through the year, And then TransUnion, almost at the end of the year, and you're constantly checking that information throughout the year. It gives you a great way to keep track of the big picture.
Right.
And you can take advantage of that one free check a year from each one of those locations.
And learn to translate those reports too, because I know when I've gotten one of those reports in the past, I kind of said, yeah, and didn't pay a lot of attention, not really realizing that there was one little credit card that I hadn't paid attention to. No, it wasn't a credit card. It was an ID theft. Somebody started a business under my name, and somebody apparently owned an ambulance company in Los Angeles. I'm not making the kind of money as of an owner running an ambulance company in Los Angeles, you know? So, who's calling today?
Oh, wait, it's from New York.
It's New York.
Sergeant Miller. Oh, it's the Department of Social Security. Let's
Let's
listen.
listen. Speakerphone. Here we come.
It's a Social Security scam.
So if you want to know about this case, just press 1. Thank you.
Do we want to?
From the Department of Social Security Administration.
That's funny. This wasn't even planned.
You have received
Perfect
this phone
timing.
call
Yeah.
from our department is to inform you that we just suspend your Social Security number because we found
So-
some suspicious activity.
So what does that
So
mean?
if you want to know about this case,
I'm kind of freaked out by it.
Well, it sounds like
better.
sounds like you haven't paid your taxes, man.
No.
What are they going to do with your Social Security number?
They're going to suspend it. And then what happens?
And then what?
Then what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just for everyone's reference out there, they do not suspend Social Security
pretty
numbers.
sure that if I hadn't paid my taxes, the IRS would be, Mr. Miller, we need your money.
They're going to come
They're going
find
to be
you.
knocking on my door, or they're going to send me something in the mail.
Those IRS scams, again, it's one of those things where they come straight after the heartstrings. They're trying to get you to react and react quickly. They scare you. They're going to also threaten warrants. I've actually got a little recording here if we want to listen to it. Just a quick story talking about some of the common
It's a new
scams.
twist on an old scam.
the reason of this call is to inform you that IRS is filing a lawsuit against you.
Sounds
for
familiar to
tax
that phone
fraud.
call
An
you just did.
automated call claiming to be the IRS threatening arrest if the taxpayer doesn't return an IRS refund. But here's what's different. The victim actually has received an IRS refund that the scammers have filed on his or her behalf. And now the scammers want the money.
Call us back on our department number 202-629.
Here's how it works. The scammers hack into employers' or tax preparers' computers, stealing personal and bank account information. They then file a false tax return and request a refund check or direct deposit into the real taxpayer's bank account. Then, posing as the IRS or a collection agency, the scammers contact the victim by email or phone to go after the money.
Indicating that they, have a refund in their bank account that is by mistake and demanding that it be returned to them.
The scammers tell the victim to electronically transfer the money to the scammer's bank account or face arrest. Don't believe it.
We will not contact you from an email. We will not contact you by phone.
If you receive a refund you didn't file for, the IRS says tell your bank to return the direct deposit funds to the IRS, then call the IRS 800 number. For checks, write void across the check and mail it with an explanation to the nearest office listed at irs.gov.
Well, anyway, that's a little bit on it. That was courtesy of NBC News. Thank you, NBC, for letting us use that.
It really comes down to those things we kind of talked about today. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. And look for that red flag. Take action right away. Don't take action right away. Really research what's going on and never pay anything online, on the phone. Give that money up right away. Protect yourself. And if you become a victim of one of these crimes, the one thing we're finding is people are embarrassed to report it.
Sure.
Because you've been taken. But it really helps us, one, try to solve the problem, but also find out what's going on in the community. The frustrating part is a lot of these scams and frauds are from overseas. They're very hard to trace, and it's very hard to solve. So the education piece and stopping it from happening in the first place is our biggest piece right now.
I'm going to interrupt you 1 second, Brian, and let's go ahead and just do today's Dirty 30.
Let's do it.
Now it's time for this episode's Dirty 30. Great tip from one of our fraud detectives. If you have hired a contractor to do something at your home or business, tell them you will be buying the supplies. Have the contractor give you a list of what is needed, and tell them those supplies will be at your place available to them when they start the project. If a contractor can get a discount on the supplies, have the invoice and supplies sent to you. This may not always be possible in every case, but best case scenario, if something happens and the contractor doesn't finish the project, at least you will have the supplies. And that's your Dirty 30.
Okay, and that was today's Dirty 30. Brian, continue, please, on some of those, just kind of summary of what we're looking for on those red flags.
Some of the things you're going to start looking at is they're requiring payment by wire or prepaid credit cards. Your credit gets denied unexpectedly. You go to buy a car, you go to buy a house, and they're looking at things that you know are not yours, and that's a tough time to find out you're a victim. You're not getting bills or statements in the mail. One of the problems there is they don't want you to see that the credit card's maxed out.
So they bought a car in your name and you didn't know anything about it. You haven't received the bill for it.
Right.
Next thing you know, they're calling you saying, hey, we want our car back. What car? You haven't made a payment on it in 4 months.
Exactly. So take a look at those type of things. Never stay on the phone and follow those instructions. You have the ability to hit that delete button or hit that turn off the phone and walk away.
Which is such a great plan. Anytime somebody calls you that you don't know, if you see a number coming in that you don't know, I don't answer it.
Right. Here's the thing: is if I don't recognize a number, they'll leave a message and I can call them back.
Right. And if they don't leave a message, it means it was probably a scam, and they'll try again tomorrow.
Right. So yeah, if you're trying to get a hold of me and I don't know the number, you better leave a message. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer it. So
that's right. There was one last thing I saw just recently.
Except, well, I just did, so.
Well, that was for the sake of this podcast.
When I saw that it was New York, I figured it's got to be something good. So.
Was that not perfect for this show? Timing's everything, right? So protect yourself. Be careful. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Give us a call if you're a victim.
Sometimes if it does feel right, don't do it. Because sometimes I ran across this deal on a bicycle once, and I was like, it's just cheap enough to make it a really good deal, and then it's still expensive enough to be reality. You know?
Didn't get the bike, did you?
I went to go pick it up, but turns out when they started giving you some of the red flags, like this is a common Craigslist scam. Yeah. It says. Oh, go ahead.
You know, you're trying to sell your bike on Craigslist, and you know, you're trying to sell for $500. Well, we'll give you $1,000 if you just give us back, you know, $500 of that for shipping and all that. And next thing you know, they've given you a bad money order and you've cashed it. And
what I almost fell for is that the guy was marketing the bicycle, and we went through the whole process, and he was saying all the right things, and I'm like, perfect. I'm in. Like, I'm going to get a great deal on this bicycle. Next thing I know, when I went to go do the final transaction, he said, I'm actually out of town right now, and I'm going to have it shipped to you. He was actually just saying just outside of what is easily drivable up in Boulder. I was like, no, it's okay. I'll drive up to Boulder. Well, I'm out of town right now, but I can have it shipped to you. And that's where I was like, aha, there it is. As soon as they need money before shipping something, then I kind of grasped onto the fact that it was a scam. So.
Right. And we see those with construction scams, home improvement scams. There's the one where you're selling an armoire on a computer site, and it's for $500, and they send that check for $1,000 and say, look, we made a mistake. We sent you $1,000. I know it was only $500. Do me a favor. Take an extra $100. You get $600 for the arm wall. I get the arm wall, and then send the rest of the money back to me. Another little hitch on that scam you were talking about.
Yeah.
They even tell you to keep an extra $100.
Right.
When all of it is no good.
Right.
Yeah. What a deal. What a bargain.
Well, and that's what a lot of people say. Well, I'm only going to accept a money order. Well, people can, make fake money orders.
Fake money order. The same way, a lot of people feel that cashier's check's the way to go. Those can be not real too. So
counterfeited up.
They can be counterfeited. So.
And that's something like if I'm doing any transactions, online transactions like that, it's going to be straight cash in person. That's a personal rule, again, for me. And
we do, we welcome people that are doing online transactions to come to our sheriff's office in Castle Rock or to our substation Highlands Ranch and do the transaction in our parking lot.
We actually have designated areas in the parking lot that are designated by signs and under surveillance from our central control.
We welcome that. That's a safe place to do it. So,
right, because you never know what you're running into and who you're going to meet.
Absolutely. Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about today when it comes to just fraud, scams, ID theft?
Well, with this group, we could talk your ear off for days.
Turns out.
Just remember, all the stories we've talked about are just a small piece of what's going on out there. Keep yourself informed. There's great information online on scams and frauds. We can share that information. But remember those things, check those red flags, and don't let anybody intimidate you. Don't make them think they got control and they can get what they want from you.
Don't be a sucker. That's really what it comes down to. Don't fall for what they are going to do. They are sneaky, they are manipulative, and they are going to play on all of your emotions.
If you get a phone call or even somebody in person that you think there may be something to it, give us a call and ask us, hey, you think this guy's legitimate or not? And we'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think, Brian? You going to close us out in your best Kermit voice?
Hi-ho, everybody. It was a great time, and weather's going to be partly froggy. Oh, is that what you wanted?
Perfect.
All right, going to happen, did you?
I didn't think you were going to do it, but that's perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. That is today's episode of
Just remember one thing. If you guys got topics that you want us to cover or you have questions for us, send us an email. It's justicetalk@dcsheriff.net.
Yeah, absolutely. We're willing to answer anything you guys ask. Again, it's still no holds barred. And that's the whole purpose of this venue, is to try to get more information out there in a more accessible way.
And if we can stop the crimes from happening, it makes our investigators happy because they don't have to investigate a crime that they're very likely not going to solve.
Yeah.
It makes them happy, makes all of you guys out there happy because you don't have to be a victim.
That's right.
Cool. All right. Well, that is today's episode of Justice Talk. Thank you guys so much and have a great one.
Be smart and be safe.
All right. Thank you. And we'll listen to us next time.